Okay, so today's been a big day, obviously. It was the first day for the season that we've turned on the pump. And to kick it off, I was so psyched that you didn't waste any time and you immediately hooked up to Molasses. So do you mind explaining why we've been putting molasses into our irrigation?
Okay, so the molasses is probably the cheapest thing you can do for your soil that you'll see the quickest results for. And that's because it's full of carbohydrates, the sugars. When you think of life and life growing and getting strong, you think of water, plants need water, but you never think of the second most important element, and that's carbon. So a good, quick way to get carbon into the soil is with molasses. When I drop that molasses in, it allows it feeds the biology of the soil, and happy microbes, they can grow like every 20 minutes. If they have food, they can make a new microbe. And that's really what it's about when you're growing healthy plants, is you need a huge, diverse colony of beneficial microorganisms, bacteria and fungi. So when we drive in the molasses and it starts to increase the biology, it also naturally is going to make healthier plants, but that means that it's going to create sweeter fruit with more color in it. And this is something you can see instantly in the crops. Last year when we hooked the water cannon up, we wanted to do a finishing on the pumpkins. So we injected the molasses into the pumpkins, and they really did a amazing finish in color, but you're able to just get this food into the plants through the water, and it mixes in real nice. And I'm excited. Every time they turn the water on, I think of how can I get this thing out there. So that's why we were able to get out there right away. As soon as I saw the water on, I looked for Peter.
Well, wait, you got to go back to the pumpkins last year, though, because this was so huge. And I can't tell you how many people, we've been talking about this for the last 6 months. So the reason we actually decided to do it is, remember we had planted some of our fields late because we had a problem. Like, we tried planting and too many seeds dropped and we ran out of seeds. So we planted a field many weeks late, and we were worried that they weren't going to be ready by the time everybody came to pick their pumpkins. And I remember you just kind of smiled and said, I'll give them a little bit of love. And that's when you literally just got a 55-gallon drum of molasses and hooked it to our huge guns. So it worked. They grew quickly. They were beautiful. But the other thing was, all of our handles were beautiful. Like, all the handles of the pumpkins were sturdy. Like, we didn't have broken handles, which is always something I think of when you see pumpkins in a field, is if the handles are going to pop off. And none of them popped off. Did that have anything to do with the molasses?
Yeah, so molasses, when you break it down, it's going to have 40 kinds of vitamins and minerals. And that translates into structure. So if you're growing a structure like corn, you want corn to stand, it's going to be very strong stalks. In this case, the pumpkin, the stem is like its umbilical cord. That's going to become very strong because that's what's delivering all the nutrients into the fruit. So this year we did the same thing with the strawberries, and we ran molasses, but we also fermented the molasses up, which even makes it more bioavailable. When you can ferment the molasses, that means that it's immediately ready for the soil biology to consume. And when you when you're picking strawberries, you come up on the hill, you can hear a snap a lot of times coming off of the berry. And this is the same thing. You have where the nutrients are being transported to the fruit, that becomes very strong, like a cord. And this enables a lot of the vitamins and minerals that are from the molasses and soil to get right into that fruit and create very healthy, nutritious fruit. So this is also if Kat was to do a nutrient density test on some of the crops, you'll be able to see that just translate into healthier, more vitamin A's, more vitamin C's, whatever that fruit is growing, because it's first of all in the soil, which means you can transport it into fruit. So this is when we start growing this, you think of organic fruit and how it's grown, you got to start thinking about how nutritious the end result is. And
Right. So actually, while you're talking about the strawberries, this is only our third season, and this has been a tough year because we haven't had any sun until a couple days ago. We had tons of rain. I feel like when you taste the strawberries this season compared to last year, they're so much sweeter. There's more flavor. Is that partially because of the molasses?
Yeah, so the molasses is feeding ecology in the soil, and part of the ecology in the soil The soil food web is so strange, but there's little microbes in the soil that actually have electrical charge to them. So when you don't have the sun like we've been having, you still have all these electrical influences still happening to the plant, which is causing it to grow still. So when you have low light levels like we've been having, but you can supplement that through electrical influence to the soil, that's really, it's like bringing sunshine into the fruit. So we were able to keep up on, just like the sun was out, it was able to maximize whatever lights it had to the highest efficiency, since the plants are their healthiest. So that means their phototrophy is the most, optimal.
Right.
That's why we're able to, you can see that berry production still taking off like the sun was out. But now we really got the sun out. So we've been happy with the cloudberries. These ones here are going to really translate full spectrum sun into more sugars. So you'll and even more flavor, which you call terpenes in the berry, and those should be longer and sweeter berry because now you're getting more sun. But before that, it was just the microbes that create energy in the soil acting as sun, why we were able to keep up on plant production and food production.
So if somebody's at home and they have strawberries or they're growing pumpkins or anything else, is it as simple as they should just squirt a little bit of water with molasses to their food, and when should they do it? Any tips?
Yeah, so if just your normal feeding regimen that you're doing with your plants, if you just added in like a tablespoon per gallon of molasses for any of your greens that you're growing, 2 tablespoons per gallon for like your tomatoes and corn, more hungrier plants, once per week, you'll have a whole different crop on your hands. You should see results like within 4 or 5 days once you pump that molasses in. You'll see the cell walls of that plant start to hydrate better. I call it plant yoga, but that leaf really gets flat and it really stretches. You can just tell the tip of that new growth, it's in a different stance because of that hydration and food. And that's what you're looking for. In 4 days, you'll see it. So 3 weeks on the program, 4 weeks, man, your garden would just love you for it.
Well, thank you so much.